Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm David Lam, sitting in for Liang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. An off-duty officer was shot and killed during an attempted robbery this week. 2 suspects are in custody. One of the bills awaiting the governor's signature or veto is about public participation in government meetings. The goal is to prevent disruption from shutting down the events. We'll hear from the bill's author. And Hollywood will be getting more police patrolling the city. That's after a year-on-year increase in crime, according to one councilman's office. 2 suspects have been arrested for shooting and killing an off-duty police officer in Los Angeles on Monday. Authorities said it happened during an attempted robbery.
An off-duty officer, identified as Gardiel Solario, was shot and killed on Monday afternoon in a gym parking lot in the city of Downey in Los Angeles County. He was an officer for the Monterey Park Police Department. He was 26 years old. At a press conference on Wednesday, the district attorney announced 2 suspects responsible for the murder have been arrested.
Today we're here to announce the arrest and filing of criminal charges against Carlos Del Cid for the fatal shooting of off-duty Monterey police officer Gardiel Solorio.
A 17-year-old juvenile will also be charged for his participation in the crime. According to Gascon, it was an attempted robbery. The suspect, with his gun drawn, approached Solario, who was in his vehicle.
Officer Solorio attempted to flee by backing out of his vehicle when the suspect fired multiple times. The defendant then returned back to the vehicle where a juvenile was behind the wheel, and they fled the scene.
They each face a count of attempted robbery and possession of a firearm by a felon. Del Cid could be facing life in prison without the possibility of parole. A relative who identified herself as his sister-in-law, Wanda Marie Lane Solario, started a GoFundMe page to help his family's travel expenses to attend his memorial service. He was the youngest of 13 children and dreamed of becoming a police officer. According to the GoFundMe page, Solario was a true American success story. He was a first-generation college graduate and the first in his family to be a police officer. Solario was recruited in January and joined the Monterey Park Police in July. He is survived by his parents, brothers and sisters, and fiancé.
In the past year, a number of public board meetings have made headlines for removing individuals who were allegedly disturbing the process. In response, lawmakers passed a bill that would set the parameters of behaviors allowed in public meetings. Here's the story.
Senate Bill 1100 has passed both the Senate and Assembly along party lines and is now awaiting a final decision from the governor. The proposed bill would authorize the presiding member of the legislative body to remove individuals for disrupting the meeting. The bill's author, Democratic Senator Dave Cortese, says that legislation has been needed to control the disruptive and disorderly conduct from the individuals that attend open meetings.
And what are the certain circumstances? We clarified that because no one had ever really clarified what are the kinds of circumstances where you can have somebody in charge either empty the room out, give somebody a warning, or remove somebody individually. When can that happen? And we define that.
The bill requires the presiding member of the legislative body to first issue a warning to any disruptive individual before removing them.
It just really defines what is a disruption. And of course, it has to be in this bill something that actually impedes the meeting from going forward.
He added that the intent of SB 1100 is to prevent public officials from having to postpone or end public meetings early, quote, due to bullying, harassment, or violence. He listed an example of someone not sharing the microphone with other speakers. Local agencies and groups have expressed little opposition throughout the bill's legislative journey. Jonathan Zackerson, founder of Reopen California Schools, says his experience at a number of school board meetings has been positive.
I would say most of these school board meetings are just fine, and there really isn't an issue. Every so often, you do get that individual, or during the COVID shutdowns, there were some contentious issues. That's what this bill does address a little bit, and but by and large, we haven't had that many issues.
Zackerson says his main concern with SB 1100 is whether it might be used to exclude certain people from meetings.
I mean, that's the biggest concern, is lack of clarity about what means to disrupt a meeting, and make sure that it's not abused from simply just not liking the comment, or the occasional applause or laughter if someone tells a joke or whatnot.
Zackerson adds that if a person is threatening violence or impeding the meeting, then he agrees that they should be removed. But Cortese, who describes himself as a First Amendment purist, says the bill will not regulate opinions or beliefs expressed at these meetings.
If this bill starts being misused in any way to stop people from freely assembling or to stop people from expressing their viewpoint, I will be the first one to introduce a new bill, to correct that.
Meanwhile, the bill has been met with criticism from Republican senators and assembly members. Senator Jim Nielsen said that this is about absolutely freezing parents out of the education of their children, and it should be roundly condemned and rapidly defeated. Assemblyman James Gallagher wrote in a statement, "This bill is a direct attack on parents coming to their school board meetings and voicing their passionate displeasure with how our schools have been managed." Cortese says he is hopeful that his bill will be signed. SB 1100 is now awaiting the next scheduled signing day with Governor Gavin Newsom.
Hollywood will soon see an increased police presence after the Los Angeles City Council approved funding August 10th, intended to address a recent increase in crime in the area.
The Los Angeles City Council approved $216,000 in funding for more police patrols in Hollywood. That's to address a rise in crime. Mayor Pro Tem Mitch O'Farrell introduced the motion. He said last week, quote, "If you plan to come to Hollywood to commit crimes, you are not welcome." O'Farrell added that Hollywood may be one of the most diverse cities in LA, but on Wednesday, one public commenter accused the bill of targeting black people. According to statistics from the councilman's office, there has been a 75% increase in homicides and a 36% increase in shots fired this year compared to last year. Robbery was up 20% and theft up 25%. Blake Chow, deputy chief for the Los Angeles Police Department, said that they are looking forward to quickly employing these additional resources to prevent, deter, and address crime in Hollywood. Daniel Hall, NTD News, California.
California is piloting a new program to provide college savings funds for certain children. The youngest recipients of the funds will be newborns. NTD's Eileen Ng reports.
Governor Gavin Newsom announced on Wednesday a $1.9 billion college savings program for 3.4 million low-income newborns and public school students. It's called the Cal Kids program, and the purpose is to help them get a head start on college savings.
The dignity that comes with that, the conversations you're going to have with your kids you may have never had before because of this extraordinary opportunity, the largest program of its type anywhere, any jurisdiction, in any country.
Babies born on or after July 1st can get up to $100. Low-income school-age children in grades 1 to 12 can get up to $1,500. Parents can register their newborns to an online portal to create an account. In the disclaimer at the bottom of the website, it says, if the funds aren't used for qualified higher education expenses, a 10% federal penalty tax on earnings may apply. Non-qualified withdrawals may also be subject to an additional 2.5% California tax on earnings.
California's analyst office said the unemployment department has failed the state over the last 2 years. The shortcomings ranged from sending unemployment benefits to prisoners to shutting down phone lines over complaints.
A recent report by the California Legislative Analyst Office, or LAO, revealed in great detail how Governor Gavin Newsom's Employment Development Department, the EDD, failed to serve the state's unemployed workers in the last 2 years. The report listed a range of shortcomings of the department. Since the start of pandemic lockdowns, EDD sent out at least 38 million mailings that contained applicants' full Social Security numbers. More than $31 billion in unemployment benefits were paid to inmates in California and federal prisons. Some are even out of the country. 5 million workers experienced delayed payments since the pandemic, and 1 million claims were improperly denied. The report said the department's user interface program is hard to navigate. Many users found the process of proving one's eligibility unreasonably difficult and lengthy. Bill Thomas, NTD News, California.
A former manager at Twitter was found guilty of spying for Saudi Arabia. Egypt-born U.S. resident Ahmad Abuwamo had provided the country with the personal information of anonymous Twitter users that were criticizing the kingdom and its royal family on the platform. Evidence showed that Abuwamo received $300,000 in wire transfers and a Hublot watch, which were said to be bribes for the information. He faces 10 to 20 years in prison. We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we've got for you coming up next. Northern California firefighters are gathering used equipment to send over to Ukraine. They cited that firefighters form a brotherhood, no matter where they are in the world. San Francisco is taking a natural approach to slowing down a pigeon infestation on local public transit. We'll hear from the airborne security detail on how it works. That and more on California Today. Authorities in Silicon Valley believe to have solved a cold case murder from 40 years ago, thanks to a detective and DNA analysis. The victim was a teenage girl found dead with 59 stab wounds.
The Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office announced on Tuesday that they charged 75-year-old Gary Ramirez for the stabbing, murder, and sexual assault of 15-year-old Karen Stitt. A Sunnyvale detective said Stitt was last seen in 1982 walking at night toward a bus stop in Sunnyvale. The next morning, her body was found about 300 feet from the bus stop with the killer's blood and bodily fluid on Stitt. Ramirez is a resident of Hawaii but grew up in Fresno. If he's convicted for murder, kidnapping, and rape charges, he faces life in prison without parole.
The Port of Los Angeles and Inglewood will receive grants from the U.S. Department of Transportation. The state senators spoke in support of the funding.
A program from the U.S. Department of Transportation is working to rebuild infrastructure. As a result, the Port of Los Angeles and Inglewood will receive millions of dollars in grants. The Port of Los Angeles will receive $20 million for the construction of a 4-lane railroadway grade separation located on Terminal Island. The Inglewood Transit Center project will receive $15 million for an approximately 1.6-mile transit system with 3 stations. Senators Alex Padilla and Dianne Feinstein said that it would improve safety and benefit the California economy. In a statement, Padilla said, "As the bipartisan infrastructure law continues to deliver for California, I'm proud to see significant investments from this historic legislation for local and regional transportation infrastructure projects." Feinstein said the bipartisan infrastructure law that President Biden signed last year continues to deliver big wins for California. The grants are part of a program funding 8 local governments, transit agencies, and tribes in California. It comes from the Rebuilding American Infrastructure and Sustainability Equity Program.
Volunteers and retirees in the fire service were sending off used and excess gear on Thursday. They wanted to provide aid to the firefighters in Ukraine. I went to visit the team earlier as they load the truck. When it comes to firefighting, its brotherhood has no boundaries. That's why for the past couple of months, used fire equipment has been packaged to be sent overseas. NorCal firefighters for Ukrainian firefighters have spent countless hours gathering equipment at the warehouse of Komodo Fire Systems, a fire prevention company in Morgan Hill.
The brotherhood is always there.
Just like we did in the fire service, we never asked anybody if they were Republican or Democrat, what their religion was, what their origin was, when their house or property was burning or they needed help. So this is the same thing.
Inside each of these 30 crates are supplies intended to help firefighters in Ukraine. They are getting ready to be shipped off on Thursday.
Right now we have enough equipment to fill a full 40-foot container of firefighting gear, which includes clothes, firefighting equipment, tools, generators, and all kinds of things that they will definitely be using out there.
They received support from fire departments in San Francisco, San Mateo, East Contra Costa, and Menlo Park, along with various agencies.
To the fire departments, whatever is retired, whatever is surplus, please send it to us. We'll pick it up. in Northern California.
Murray also added that the nonprofit firefighter training site Fire Nuggets is another place for donations.
I think it shows what people can do when they get motivated to help others in other situations.
The spirit of being able to provide hope. And so when we can see that the frontline guys are putting their lives on the line, and we have plenty, we're blessed in this country. And so firefighters from San Francisco, San Mateo, from really all over the country, but more Northern California and Southern California, they decided that they were going to participate.
They say it could take 2 months to finally arrive at its destination in Ukraine amid the Ukraine-Russia war.
That's why to be a firefighter in Ukraine right now is the most dangerous job it could be.
We're going to fill up this 40-foot shipping container today, and then we're going to wait for a slot to get it onto a ship, hopefully in Long Beach within the next 3 weeks. And then it'll take about 6 weeks to get to Gdynia, Poland. From there, we'll truck it, cross the border into Ukraine, get it to Kiev.
They said the crates cost $10,000 and the pallets were $800.
One way we could help is, again, collecting equipment that firefighters in the Bay Area may not have used anymore, or we have excess equipment and we can ship it to them. So we just rally to that cause. And again, we're all brothers, whether here or in Ukraine.
Even though this is the first shipment from the NorCal group, they plan to have more shipments in the future. David Lamb, NTD News, California. A major transit system in San Francisco has employed a new, highly specialized station guard, and his target are hordes of pigeons that have been causing a nuisance at stops. NTD's Jackie Rios reports.
San Francisco's Bay Area Rapid Transit System, or BART, has contracted a new station guard who has been patrolling the station in recent months. The guard's name is Pac-Man, a Harris Hawk. He's been on the lookout for pigeons at El Cerrito del Norte station. His mission is to keep pigeons under control in the area and protect commuters from pigeon droppings. Ricky Ortiz, a falconer and Pac-Man's handler, described the security detail.
We work our way up here to the platforms and just check the ledges and the roof and make sure that they're not trying to sneak in on us and keep them out. And he does a pretty good job of that.
Despite BART installing netting and spikes on station structure, the nuanced pigeons still managed to get through. Ortiz talked about how much of an impact Pac-Man is making.
Just after the first week or so, we noticed a huge difference. Probably less than half of the pigeons were here after the first week of us flying, establishing the territory.
One commuter acknowledged one reason for the pigeons being around is that commuters feed them. But having Pac-Man around helps to deter them.
It's a neat way of curbing the pigeon problem. There's a lot of people that feed them. I know they're not supposed to, but it's not enforced. But this seems to be a good way to keep them under control.
One commuter, though, was unsure at first upon seeing Pac-Man for the first time.
Oh, I was scared. I switched cars because I wasn't going to be trapped in a metal box with a bird of prey.
Ortiz noticed, though, for the most part, most commuters are pleasantly surprised upon seeing Pac-Man.
Most of the commuters are pretty excited and happy to see him. Most of them have a lot of questions. If is it an eagle, falcon, what kind of bird, where is he from, what am I doing, stuff like that. So it's fun to get to interact and educate the public.
To keep Pac-Man happy, Ortiz will give snacks throughout the day. Also, it keeps Pac-Man from making a meal out of any pigeons or local rodents that might be hanging around. Jackie Rios, NTD News, California.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for the Sports Roundup.
Batter up. I'm Thomas Christian. It's time for the California Today Sports Roundup. The woman who accused suspended Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer of sexual assault a year ago is suing him for sexual battery. The Southern California woman filed suit Tuesday in federal court in Los Angeles, the latest legal salvo between the two parties. The lawsuit is a counterclaim to a suit Bauer filed against her and her attorney in April, contending they defamed him. In the suit, the woman claims Bauer committed acts of violence during sex, including choking her until she lost consciousness. She also said that she woke up to him punching her between the legs in one instance and to him having non-consensual sex with her in another. She contends she sustained emotional stress, physical injury, and humiliation due to Bauer's alleged actions. Bauer and the woman both have said they engaged in sexual activity twice during the pitcher's debut season with the Dodgers. Bauer has said it was consensual and that he didn't do anything the woman didn't ask him to do. A Los Angeles judge denied the woman's request for a restraining order last summer, and the district attorney's office later declined to press charges. Bauer, who is 31 years old, hasn't pitched since June 28, 2021, when he was placed on administrative leave after the following month. Following a Major League Baseball investigation, League Commissioner Rob Manfred in April suspended Bauer for 2 years for violating MLB's policy on sexual assault and domestic violence. Bauer has appealed the suspension, and the Los Angeles Times reported last week that legal action in the case is expected to continue until after the conclusion of the World Series. The Dodgers signed Bauer, who won the 2020 National League Cy Young Award, to a 3-year, $102 million contract after that season. He was paid while on administrative leave. Max Muncy, Chris Taylor, and Joey Gallo hit home runs Wednesday, and the Los Angeles Dodgers extended their season-best winning streak to 10 games with an 8-5 victory over the visiting Minnesota Twins. Trey Turner and Will Smith also had RBI hits as the Dodgers improved to 13-4 in interleague play this season. Los Angeles has also improved to 32-5 since June 29th while pushing their Major League best record to 77-33. Jorge Polanco and Gary Sanchez hit home runs for the Twins, who lost all 4 games to the Dodgers this season. Luis Reyes had 3 hits for Minnesota. Gallo's pinch hit home run in the 7th inning was a 3-run shot to give the Dodgers some breathing room on the scoreboard. It was his 13th homer of the season and first since joining the Dodgers at the trade deadline. Dodgers 8, Twins 5. Magneuris Sierra doubled home automatic runner Stephen Duggar with 1 out in the 12th inning, and the Angels held on to complete a 3-game sweep of host Oakland with a victory, before Sierra lashed his double to right field off the A's 7th pitcher Austin Pruitt as the second batter of the 12th. Angels 5, A's 4 in 12 innings. San Diego, paced by a 3-run home run by Brandon Drury and a 2-run homer by Austin Nola, scored 7 times with 2 outs in the 6th inning to score a victory over visiting San Francisco in the rubber match of a 3-game series. The Giants scored 3 runs in the top of the 6th to take a 7-6 lead, and San Francisco reliever Junior Marte retired the first 2 Padres he faced in the bottom of the inning. The Padres then reeled off 7 straight hits, ending with Nola's homer. Robert Suarez returned from the injured list to pitch 1 2/3 scoreless innings and pick up the win. Marte allowed 5 runs on 5 hits in 1 inning. Padres 13, Giants 7.
And that's all for your sports roundup.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcast on our California Today webpage. You can find it on ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm David Lam, sitting in for Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.